Hello and welcome to Awaz News. I'm Kubra Ali and I'll be taking you through big news across Canada.
Suspected impaired driver taken into custody after crash involving wrong-way vehicle on Highway 407. Average asking rents in Canada reached record $2,202 in May, says new report. Police clear unauthorized pro-Palestinian encampment at York University. Man charged after allegedly attempting to carjack a police officer in Whitby. Police release video of Richmond Hill vehicle arson, seek witnesses info. Liberal government launches $1.5 billion program to build more co-op housing. Impasse, TTC union says major problem in bargaining as midnight strike deadline looms.
These were the headlines and now let's jump right into the details.
Police say that a suspected impaired driver was taken into custody after a crash involving a wrong-way vehicle on Highway 407 on Thursday morning. Police say that they were called to about a vehicle traveling eastbound in the westbound lanes of the highway near Dufferin Street just after 6 a.m. Police said that the vehicle subsequently collided with a pickup truck. The driver of the pickup truck sustained minor injuries as a result. Officers attended the scene and took the driver of the wrong-way vehicle into custody. Louis, 39, is charged with multiple Highway Traffic Act offenses, including impaired driving and dangerous operation. Police have released new video footage, which shows a suspect pouring an accelerant on a vehicle in Richmond Hill before setting it on fire. The arson happened on February 14 near Lucas Street and Rumble Avenue. York Regional Police said they were called to residents in that area shortly before 5 a.m. for a report of vehicle on fire. Police said when the officers arrived at the scene, they found a vehicle fully engulfed in flames on the driveway. Emergency responders quickly doused the fire. In a 38-second video, which includes several clips captured from security cameras in an area, a person wearing a hood and a face mask is seen walking up to a vehicle and pouring a liquid from a jerry can on it. At that time, a vehicle is seen rolling up across the street from the home and briefly stopping. The footage then shows flames rapidly engulfing the vehicles in the driveway. A person opens and sits in the front passenger seat before the car drives away. In the third clip, a dark-colored four-door sedan is seen pulling up in an alley behind some buildings. A passenger in the front then opens the door and tosses a plastic receptacle into the trash before the motorist drives off. Police said that the last part of the footage was captured from the back loading dock area of a nearby commercial plaza. The suspect vehicle has been identified as a black four-door Hyundai Elantra, which police say had been reported as stolen at the time of the incident. Police have not released a description of the suspect. York Regional Police are urging anyone with information about the incident to contact them or Crime Stoppers. A new report says the average asking rent for a home in Canada hit a record $2,202 in May, up 9.3% compared with a year ago and 0.6% from the previous month. The report by Urbanation and Rentals.ca, which analyzes monthly listings from the latter's network, said it marks the first time average asking rent surpassed the $2,200 level. Based on the report, the average asking rent for a one-bedroom unit in Canada was $1,927 in May, up 10.7% from a year ago, while the average asking price for a two-bedroom unit was $2,334, up 12.1%. Overall asking rents for purpose-built rental apartments in May increased 13.7% compared with a year earlier to reach an average of $2,146. That was 4 times the rate of growth for condominium apartment rents, which averaged $2,312, up 3.4%. All provinces recorded year-over-year increases in asking rents for purpose-built and condo rentals, led by Saskatchewan with a 21.4% gain to reach $1,334. That followed by Alberta, where average rents rose 7.5% to $1,787, and Nova Scotia, which saw a 17.1% increase, to $2,238. Rents in those three provinces drove the majority of annual rent inflation for apartments in Canada, the report said. BC maintained the highest asking rents at an average of $2,526 in May, increasing 2.3% from May 2023, followed by Ontario at $2,423, which was 0.6% higher year over year. Average asking rents in Quebec rose 6.7% to reach $1,999, while Manitoba's 10.3% increase brought its average to $1,623. On a municipal basis, average asking rents in Vancouver and Toronto, Canada's two most expensive major cities, continued to decline, but by lesser amounts than in April. Vancouver rents were down 4.1% from a year ago to an average of $3,008 in May, while Toronto rents decreased 0.9% to an average of $2,784. Toronto police have cleared a pro-Palestinian encampment on the campus of York University just one day after it was first set up. Demonstrators began erecting tents at the Harry Arthur's Common on York's Keele campus in the early morning hours of Wednesday. But on Thursday morning, York University served those present with a trespass notice over what it said was their unauthorized use of campus grounds. Toronto police say officers they then attended the area at the request of the university and ordered demonstrators to leave the grounds. The encampment at York University formed more than a month after a similar encampment was set up on the University of Toronto's downtown campus on May 2nd. In that case, the University of Toronto initially allowed demonstrators to remain on campus, only issuing a trespassing notice 3 weeks later on May 24th. The school has since applied for an injunction which would allow police to remove demonstrators who refuse to leave. Police, however, have said that they do not have any plans to clear the encampment until the legal process plays out. Last week, Deputy Chief Rob Johnson cited the fact that the university initially allowed demonstrators to stay on campus in explaining the delay in taking action. Meanwhile, in a statement issued on Friday, York University said that it has been clear for weeks now that encampments and physical occupations of community spaces are not permitted under its policies. The school added that the common area where the encampment formed is intended for use as a space for study, work, and leisure. In its statement, York University added that it committed to meeting with community representatives within the next week. It also said that it will be releasing a message later today responding to the concerns that motivated the encampments, including the profound suffering of Palestinians in Gaza. Housing Minister Sean Fraser announced the launch of a $1.5 billion cooperative housing development program that the federal government promised in its 2022 budget. Fraser was in Winnipeg on Thursday to announce the program, which Liberals started as the largest federal investment in co-op housing in 30 years. The program is expected to build thousands of new homes by 2028, though the exact number will depend on where those homes are built. Co-op housing is managed by residents with no outside landlord and typically operates on a break-even basis. The federal government said the program was co-designed with the Cooperative Housing Federation of Canada, which represents more than 900 co-ops across the country, as well as other leaders in the sector. The program is one element of a plan released this spring outlining the federal government's plans to tackle housing affordability. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's government has been trying to reinvigorate younger voters by addressing key economic issues such as housing, which polling suggests are causing many of them to turn away from the Liberals. Fraser said the program will prioritize funding the projects that help women and Indigenous communities. According to data from the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development, only 4% of Canada's housing stock was made up of social renting housing in 2020. In comparison, the OECD average was 7%. The federal government says co-op providers will be able to apply for the first round of funding between July 15 and September 15. The program, which will offer $1 billion in loans and $500 million in grants, will be administered by Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation. Fraser's announcement comes one day after the Bank of Canada lowered its key interest rate by a quarter of percentage point, marking the first rate cut in 4 years. High interest rates have weighed on many mortgage holders as their interest payments have increased. Many housing developers have also had to pause projects due to higher financing costs. Fraser said that as interest rates continue to fall, it will both reduce the cost of building and the cost of borrowing for mortgage holders. I don't want to suggest that 25 basis points is suddenly going to cure the housing crisis, Fraser said, but it's very clear with the Bank of Canada's decision that we have turned an important corner and are moving in the right direction despite the fact that we have significant work to do in the months ahead. The union representing thousands of frontline TTC workers says it's deadlocked in negotiations with the city with just hours left ahead of a midnight strike deadline. We are at an impasse right now. We have a major problem with our negotiating situation right now, where the TTC is not bargaining in order to get a deal, Amalgamated Transit Union ATU Local 113 President Marvin Alfred told reporters Thursday morning at a downtown hotel where negotiations are taking place. His comments came with just hours ago before a possible TTC strike which could shutter transit for millions of riders in Toronto and were a far cry from the optimistic outlook sounded by TTC Board Chair Jamal Mears earlier in the day. Mears said he remains confident that a deal can be reached. He said that the union and the TTC have agreed that in the event of strike, service would end at 2 a.m. Friday in order to allow workers a chance to get home. They have also agreed that Wheel-Trans service will continue even if there is a strike. The TTC later clarified that service would go until sometime between 2 a.m. and 3 a.m. after the subways had stopped running for the night. Workers represented by Amalgamated Transit Union ATU Local 113 are scheduled to walk off the job Friday if no deal is reached. The union represents more than 11,000 frontline workers who operate the TTC. The workers have been without a deal since their last contract expired in March. Sticking points at the negotiation table have included wages, benefits, and job security. If a strike does move forward, it would be the first time that Toronto has seen a transit strike since 2008. Provincial legislation which designated the TTC an essential service was struck down by a judge last year, opening the door to strike action. The province has said that it is following the strike closely but has not said whether it would introduce back to work legislation if there is a strike. The union has set a strike deadline of 12:01 a.m. Friday. Mayor said that even if bargaining goes right to the deadline, he thinks a deal will happen. Nevertheless, he advised people to make backup plans in the event of a strike. Meanwhile, Mayor Olivia Chow arrived at City Hall on her bicycle Thursday to promote Bike to Work Week and said she understands that a transit strike would be disruptive for residents. Not having TTC is really tough on people. Not everybody can ride a bike, she said. Most people taking TTC don't necessarily have a car. When you don't have a car and don't have a bike, you can rent one, but not everyone's comfortable, or they are traveling too far, or they don't have bike lanes around them, so it's concerning. She said she has faith the two sides will reach a deal. A 32-year-old man is facing a long list of charges after he allegedly attempted to carjack a police officer in Whitby on Wednesday. It happened in a parking lot on Victoria Street East near Thixon Road at around 4:35 p.m. Police say that the officer was sitting in her marked police cruiser when a male suspect approached and tried to remove her from the vehicle. Police allege that the suspect also attempted to obtain the officer's firearm but was unsuccessful and subsequently fled the scene in his own vehicle. The Durham police helicopter and members of the K9 unit were dispatched to the scene and were ultimately able to locate the suspect near Highway 401 and Stevenson Road. Officers were able to pin the vehicle and take the male into custody without incident, police said in a press release. Daniel Patrick Jr. McKnight of Ajax is charged with 7 offenses, including assaulting a peace officer and attempting to disarm a peace officer. Police are appealing to anyone with information about the incident to contact investigators.
Thank you for tuning in. I'm Kubra Ali. I'll see you back tomorrow, same time, same channel. Have a good night.